Hello everybody, welcome back to another short ride with the Old Tennessee Stud. And this one today is, to me, truly a classic Southeastern match. It was maybe the most important Southeastern match that maybe ever took place. It happened in 1982. Ric Flair was coming to territory in late October of 1982, and we in Mobile, Alabama, the week prior to his coming in, we had a big tournament, one-night tournament, to decide who was going to wrestle Ric Flair the following Wednesday night in Mobile. Mobile, Alabama is a great wrestling city. We had these huge crowds, been doing big business there. On this tournament, at this point, for several years, actually about 3 years, since 1978, I came into Southeastern, and Bob started there, and I started there. When we kind of kicked that territory off, I was a heel and he was a babyface. About 1979, I changed back to babyface, and we went through about 79, 80, and 81 as just about best friends. And this World Championship match comes along in October of 1982. And so in the tournament, me and Bob Armstrong end up in the finals of the tournament. And the winner of this match was going to wrestle Ric Flair the following Wednesday night for the world title. I got the win over Bob. It was a really close one, though. And I beat him with the fuller leg lock. And I had used it on him maybe a couple of times before. But and we shook hands at the end of the match, you know, and so 3 days later we came on TV, and then they showed a little bit of the match on the television show that day, and then I watched the match and watched the win, and Bob Armstrong came out on television, and he said, Ron, he goes, I want to ask a favor of you. He says that, you know, I've always wanted to win the world championship, but he goes, you know, and he goes, but I think that in next Wednesday night, you're going to win the World Heavyweight Championship from Ric Flair. And he says, I would just like to be in the ring when it happens. And in order for that to happen, I'm just asking you, would you agree to me being a referee in your match for the World Championship? Because I want to be there to raise your hand when you win it. And, you know, it was a big moment for me. And, you know, I was, you know, wow, so what an honor, right, to have him in the ring. So I said, yes, we'll do that, Bob. And so what you're going to see here is about 7 minutes of the actual match from Mobile, Alabama on October 27, 1982. There's about 12,000 people in the building. It's a raucous crowd, always was in Mobile. And rather than I tell you, you know, I'll let you take a look, and then we'll talk just a little bit after this is over about what happened after this. But this is about 7 minutes of me and Ric Flair for the NWA World Championship. Bob Armstrong, referee, Mobile, Alabama, October 27th, 1982.
Man coming back, joining us at the desk right now.
A lot of action coming our way in the next hour, and a lot of big issues taking place in the Southeastern wrestling area. Welcome back. I know the circumstances are not what you would like for them to be.
No, not exactly, but I just have to say to your question, I'm very glad to be back and very glad to be healthy.
Indeed. There are some people who are less fortunate than you this week, and one of those being your brother, Ron Fuller.
That's true. You know, it's a dangerous profession, but now and again you run into somebody who has some kind of plan outside going in the ring and beating somebody heads up. and that one is Bob Armstrong, and he proves it with a piece of film that you've got. And I've seen it before, but I'd like to watch it again now and speak with the people, just face to face a little bit.
Let's go back to Mobile's Municipal Auditorium. Championship, the NWA Heavyweight Championship of the World on the line as Ron Fuller meets Ric Flair. Special referee for this match, supposedly longtime friend of yours, friend of Ron's, and that's Bob Armstrong.
That's true about the friendship thing, where it used to stand. You know, I've been wrestling for 11 years professionally. I started right out of school, and been friends with Bob Armstrong for 10 of that 11 years. And friends, I say, is a lot in standard with what you're seeing right now. What you're watching right now, it symbolizes what I'm saying, and that Bob Armstrong appears to be doing a good refereeing job at this point. But I'd like to ask you right now, is it not obvious to you, after seeing the end of this film one time, that he had in mind the total time of this match, that Ron Fuller would not win the world's title from Ric Flair?
Robert,
is that not pretty obvious?
Robert, let me say this. I'm speaking for myself, not for Rick, but I have sat and watched this film I don't know how many different times since this incident took place, and I still don't understand it. Rick, I don't know about you. I don't understand it.
Well, the night in Mobile, I had a chance to be there, and in watching the match from the vantage point where I was up on the stage, a lot of little things escaped me, Robert, that may not notice unless you watch very closely.
Right here,
for
let
instance,
me bring out that point again. You see Armstrong's hands thrown in the air, almost as if he was pleased at the fact that Ron had really tossed that world champion for a shot there and had him going good.
That's the way it appeared to me.
He showed that he was pleased. Now, from the outgoings at the end of the tape, you'll understand clearly that he could not have been pleased. I mean, if Bob Armstrong's going to go along, it's what he's done for 10 years. He's gone along 10 years supposedly being somebody's friend when he don't know what a friend is. He don't understand about that. He's got some need in his body. It's like you said. You don't understand it, and I don't think you'll ever understand it, Charlie, because you're an upstanding man. You're a righteous man. You know what's going on in life, and so you're not ever going to understand that. That's a bad part of professional wrestling right there. We're going to have to live with the Ron Fuller injury, and there's going to be some more injuries.
Ron injured that right knee. We'll see the exact circumstances a little later in the match.
Started the injury on. How many times before this incident, he'd had surgery on that knee 2 times that I know of, and going into that turnbuckle, this really, Rick, I would think, started the injury to Ron right here.
Well, and Ron's had to prove himself all through his career that, you know, wrestling after our father, he was very successful, and they said, how good's the older brother going to be in the younger brother? We've been down that road all of our lives, and Ron proved himself in order to get this match with Ric Flair in the first place, and now he, just as it's obvious there, he's turned over Ric Flair's Holt, in which he's beaten so many men with, that figure 4, and I would say that that's putting Ric Flair's in the same position that Ron's in. Ron has a bad knee, he's hurt at this point, but it's obvious that Flair does too.
Can the fact, you know, Bob Armstrong, at the time that Flair was coming into the area, held on to the Southeastern title for so long, could the bitterness of being the Southeastern champion and not getting the title shot, it couldn't make a man do what you're fixing to see, I don't think. Can that?
Well, it's obvious that it did. That, you know, it's like a disease that grows on some people. It's like you saying you don't understand. I cannot understand. All I can do about it is just police the situation. That's my brother. And he means more to me than anything else in the world. He's my blood, my brother. And I'm back here, and people say, well, maybe you're not in condition, maybe you're not ready, this and that and the other. Well, put all of that aside, because I decided now was my time to come back, and I'm sitting here. I got a lot of fans that agree with me for sitting here and will back me down the road 100%.
Well, I'm sure all the fans realize just exactly why you're coming back. They're watching it on television right now. But Robert, you yourself, not too very long ago, suffered a very, very serious injury to your neck. And this presents problems not only in re-injuring the neck, but in training and preparing yourself for getting back in the ring.
I'll tell you, boy, that's a hard pill to take right there. To stand and have to watch it. You know, I've seen this thing, but I don't know how to watch it and try to mellow out my mind. There ain't no way to do it. I feel something inside, and there ain't no way to hold it in.
I know
you
that.
asked me to come out here, and I'm trying to be a gentleman about the thing. I realize this is not a time to wrestle Bob Armstrong. It's a time to talk about him. I'll get my future chance to get in the ring with him, and I'm telling you what. Bob Armstrong, I don't have zero respect for you, man. None at all. You no place in my mind but where the dogs lay. I can beat Bob Armstrong, and I'm back here to prove it. I'm going to beat him and beat him good.
Here's an interesting situation. The Universal Heartthrob coming in the ring. He puts that figure 4 on the champion, which I tell you, had the champion's attention.
He's a good man. I have to say that for him, not because he saved my brother, but it's obvious to the people that he's got a good heart. And I appreciate him being there in that spot. And I just want to say this, you know, Charlie, I get up this particular morning, I look at the sky, and it's a happy day for me in and out all through the day because I don't hurt. I don't have any injuries, see? And I've been around a long time, for 10 years. I don't have to go down to Bob Armstrong and tell him what I'm going to do to him or how I'm going to hurt him or this and that. It's not necessary to my fans or to Bob Armstrong. He knows what he's done, and he's going to have to pay for it.
Thank you very much. Still, I do not understand the situation. You have seen what has happened, and Robert Fuller definitely upset about the situation, and rightfully so. A lot of action coming your way in the next hour on Southeastern Wrestling. Let's go.
So basically, you saw my brother there, and you saw what happened in the match. Obviously, I got knee hurt. And I'd had a couple of knee operations at this point. I had a knee operation after this match. It was my 3rd knee operation. I was off for 6 months, 6 or 7 months. As you could see, the fans, wow, they came to the ring, and it was very, very dangerous situation for Bob Armstrong and for Ric Flair. But what it did for Southeastern Wrestling, which was already on fire, we were doing huge crowds everywhere, all along the Gulf Coast, all the way up to Tennessee. At this point, working in Mississippi and in Georgia and Florida, a lot of other states, Alabama, obviously. The business was very, very good. And what happened here is business lit up because Bob Armstrong, for the first time in his career, and he never did it before nor after, he had turned heel. And to be quite honest with you, he was the greatest, one of the greatest heels I ever saw. And all those matches were on all these 1983 matches. After this match, you'll see a bunch of matches from 1983 with Bob Armstrong as a heel. Fans go crazy. They've never seen it. Those that have never seen it, you will not believe how good he was as a heel. He is going to he's going to slap his own son. He's going to slap Charlie Platt. He's going to grow a pencil-thin mustache. He's going to have his wife was a lovable, great woman. Her name was Gail. Everybody knew her and loved her. And he's going to have he's going to brag about his girlfriend, Fannie Mae Titweiler. And he is going to be a phenomenal heel. And all of that and all of these other programs, when we show these little short rides with the stud, they're all on ClassicContinentalWrestling.com. This one is there, but what also is there is a bunch of matches that follow that and a bunch of television programs, some of them complete, a lot of them complete TV programs with Bob Armstrong as a heel. If you've never seen him as a heel, this is really something worth watching. He's really great at it. It led a feud. This one match set the pace for the next 5 years in which there was nothing but feuds between the Armstrongs and the Fullers and Jimmy Golden, and my stud stable came out of this, a whole lot of things. One of the greatest feuds. Bob had these young boys, these young sons. Brad was already wrestling. Scott's about to start. Steve's about to start. We turned the company into one of the biggest wrestling companies on earth with what developed from the match that you just saw. And we're going to do more of them for you. Thanks for joining us for this one. We're going to bring in another one.